Hello Sandaleers, welcome back to another episode of Sandals Around Scotland, Sandals Around the House DIY Special. Again, rather than going outside because it's absolutely raining, there's a bit of snow as well, I've decided to do another DIY special. It's Sunday, so I'm wearing my Sunday hat today, but today we're going to be doing a shelf on this wall behind me. This was suggested or asked for by one of my followers, so big shout out to you know who you are. And we're going to start by doing this. So, the tools we're going to need today to complete this job in a relatively easy manner is a spirit level, a hammer, a screwdriver, some roll plugs, and a drill with a drill bit on it. So, first stage for doing this is obviously locate the wall you want to put your shelf on. Now, as you can maybe tell, it's plasterboard on this wall. So most houses are obviously made of plasterboard. One thing we're going to find out later on is how thick this plasterboard is, because that's going to be useful to know and important to know for the roll plugs that you need to buy. But first of all, we need to find out where we're going to put the shelf on the wall. Now, when you're putting up a shelf, ideally what you would do is if you have two sort of supports for your shelf, or two holes where you're going to screw in, one of them should be in a stud, which is the beam that runs down behind the wall here. Now, obviously all your walls or your stud walls are made up of beams at various gaps along the wall. And ideally you'd have at least one of the supports for your shelf into one of these stud beams so that it's got a bit of support behind it, a bit of weight behind it. And that way you can drill straight in or screw straight in through the plasterboard into the stud. But as we'll find out in this wall, we don't have that. So how are we going to find where the studs are potentially in the walls? Well, there's three methods. One is the old tap method. So as you tap along the wall, you should be able to hear, hopefully, that the sound sort of changes as you get to where the stud is down here. The second method is a stud finder. So an electronic device, you run along the wall and it'll beep when it finds the wood behind the plasterboard, and you can find out that way. The other sort of method, the way we're going to do today, is by using these, which are just very small magnets. Okay, so the trick with a magnet is where the plasterboard is nailed onto the stud behind it, they'll have used nails or staples or something to get the plasterboard in. The idea being that the magnets will pick up the metal of the nails and will know where that's gone into the wall. So you get your little magnet, okay, you hold it against the wall and you run it along the wall. Now you've got to be prepared to do this for a little while. It's a little bit hit and miss, but somewhere, there we go, right. So the magnet has found the nail in the plasterboard, okay? So hopefully you can see it there. Then what you do is you base that sort of on your line and you run up and mag the wall, and you'll find, there's another one there, okay? And again, you can do this all the way up. Here we are, we're finding some more here, and as you go down, you find another one, and so on. There you go, throughout the wall. Okay, so that way we're going to know where the stud is behind the wall here. So the next thing we need to do is get our shelf. Okay, so here we have the shelf unit that we're going to put up on the wall today. Now, we know our stud is here, so ideally we would have one of our nails on that wall there, okay, to give it support. Now the question whether you want it this far across, or do you want it this right in the middle of the wall, or to this side of the wall. As I suspect this is too far away, I think we probably want it somewhere in the middle of the wall, just to make it look nice. So what we're going to do is the next stage is get your tape measure. Okay, so what we do now is we just measure the wall thickness from end to end, and that is coming in at 46 inches exactly across there, so that's nice and handy. So we want to half that, and 23 inches would be the half point. Oh, 23 inches is just about there. So what we need to do now is grab a little pencil. Okay, we've got our pencil and we've got our ruler, tape measure. So again, we're just going to mark the middle, which again just measured 46, so we're going to go for 23, which is here, a small pencil mark in the centre there, so you know where the centre of that wall is. Okay. Again, now we're just going to measure the height that we want this shelf to be at. Take into account everything else. We've got a chair that usually sits here, so someone's going to be sitting here. So probably we want it above about this height, really, I would think. That's about right. I think for somebody sitting on the chair, not going to hit their heads. Beautiful. Right. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky, a little bit Sandaleers. Because the stud is in the centre here, but it's in the centre of our two supports for the shelves, we're not going to be able to drill in to the stud here, because that would make the unit too far this side or too far that side. We want it right in the middle here, okay? So rather than just be able to screw into the wood, we now need to use roll plugs. Now, to find what roll plugs you need, you really need to know how thick the plasterboard is. Now, a little trick for that is if you follow the line of the stud right down to the bottom of the wall, ideally the very bottom, so that no one's going to see what you're going to do here, okay? Then what you should do, what you can do, is get a little Allen key or a screwdriver, okay? Find a spot at the bottom of the stud, get a hammer, gently hammer the screwdriver into the wall as far as it will go. Now, it'll only go a small amount because it's going to hit that stud behind the plasterboard, okay? Now, once you've hit that stud and it won't go in any further, get your finger or thumb, whatever, mark the end of the screwdriver against the wall, gently pull it out, and the gap between your thumb and the top of the screwdriver is the thickness of the plasterboard, okay? Now, in our case, that distance between the top of the screwdriver and my thumb was roughly 15 millimeters, okay? So we know the plasterboard's 15 mil. So then you go out and buy yourself some roll plugs that are suitable for 15 mil walls, okay? Now look for there's lots of different types of roll plugs, and I'll show you what type I've got. I'm working with Hollow Wall Plugs, okay? You get plastic ones, you get metal ones. These are sort of metally ones, okay? Now the idea of this is you drill your hole in the wall, the right size. Now these are 7 mil thick roll plugs, so you have to get a 7 mil drill, okay? So you get your 7 mil drill, you drill into the wall, making a hole. You then insert these roll plugs. Then, so you do it without the screw in it, then you put the screw in it and you tighten the screw up. Now as the screw tightens, these little bits of metal here expand out the way, creating a sort of clamp onto the wall. So this bit here goes into the wall at the front, this bit here clamps onto it, and when it's fully locked, you've got a solid roll plug in your wall there, okay? So that's about the basics of it. Now we're going to actually try and drill it, okay? I mentioned it says in the roll plugs what size it is, so it's a 7mm drill bit you need. So you need to find yourself a 7-bit drill, 7mm drill bit, and then drill your hole, okay? Now we know we want the shelf to be in the middle of the wall, so we line up the middle of the shelf with the point that we've made in the wall that is the middle, and then we mark one of the holes. Okay, now I'm not saying mark both holes at this point, we're just going to mark one of the holes, okay, and I'll tell you why in a little bit as well. I would suggest we want a shelf up here, this size, okay, it's far enough away above our heads. So we're going to drill a hole here, okay, so we mark the first hole with a pencil, okay, take it away, and that leaves us a nice mark on the wall. Okay, so we've got our mark here where we're going to drill our hole. Okay, Sandaleers, here we are with the drill, the 7mm drill bit, alright, and we're going to drill in to this hole up here, alright, so we've got it on the lowest speed, we don't need it to be very quick. And what we do is we line up the hole with the drill and we'll drill in here. Now it doesn't have to be very powerful. There we go, we're through already, okay. It's quite easy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put, okay, a little bit of dust there, we can hoover that up later on, okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put the roll plug into the wall. Now you should be able to push these in with your hand, there we go. Now you can feel that it's grasped onto this outside of the wall. Now I just need to get a screwdriver and we'll screw this into it to make that connection, okay. This will slide in to a certain extent. Alright. So we screw this in and you basically screw it around, it'll get tighter as it all pushes out at the back. So it's supposed to be tight, but it still turns, and inside these metal bits are condensing, that's the right word I think, against the wall at the back, and they'll continue to do that until this doesn't turn anymore. It takes a wee while. Now you could use there you go, it's getting tight now. See, right. Okay. So that is pretty tight. You can feel it almost, you can almost hear it behind the wall, catching on, okay? So, what we need to do, the good thing about these roll plugs is you can unscrew them again. Once you've done that, unscrew it, and the clamp stays where it is. So that doesn't move, but the screw does, okay? And the reason we're doing this is so that we could put one side of this shelf up and then swing the other side into place with the spirit level, get the measurement, and we'll know exactly what straight shelf position will be, okay? That is going to go back into There. So that's your position. Alright. This then did you get your spirit level? Place it on the top of the shelf. Actually, that's pretty straight already. Okay, so you want to get it so the bubbles are in the middle. Okay, get your pencil. Final adjustments, there we go. And that's where your next hole is going to be. And that's going to give you a straight shelf. So, we repeat the process. Get the drill and do it all again. Check. Yeah, straight, straight, straight. Look at that. We put up a shelf, guys. Sandaleers, we've done it. We've done it with a screwdriver, a drill, some roll plugs, a tape measure, and a lot of luck. Okay, but we did it. So, thank you for joining me on this Sandals Around the House DIY special number 2. I don't know if I've shown you yet, but I do have the sandals on. Sandal dance for you there. But I hope you enjoyed this, hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Sandals Around Scotland. Hopefully we'll be outside somewhere. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Remember, always put your best foot